Hello and good evening. Olúwa, ẹ tóbi lọ́ba o. Good evening. Good evening and welcome. You're welcome. Why is this thing bent? Like seriously? Okay, good evening and welcome to our live class for tonight. Good evening, good evening, good evening. So in today's class, I'm going to be showing you guys how to cut this gown. You can see it is for Bustier gown. So that's what we're going to learn how to do today. If you notice, this gown is divided into two. So we'll cut the top first. I think let's cut the down first. We're going to cut just one down. The front and the back is the same. So the first thing we're going to do is so I'm just thinking of if we should start with the front or start with the back. I don't even know. I'm a little bit confused. Okay, so let's do the top back first. Okay? So the top back is a simple process. We're just doing. Thank you so much. You're watching from Kenya, Kesioka. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining. So the first thing we're going to do, let's start back and piece for the top back. So the first thing, we have a line. When we're doing this, we'll make a straight line. So this straight line serve as my shoulder line. So the next thing we're going to do, the shoulder line, we're going to mark 10 inches. So that 10 inches is for the bust, and then 13 is for the under bust, and then our half cut is 16. So can you see the half cut? You can see it. Okay, so this line, I'm going to connect them. I'll connect them like this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, let's take out our shoulder measurement. So the shoulder we're making use of is 8 inches 16. So I'll divide that into 2. That's the 16 divided, we have 8, and then half of an inch. So from the half of an inch, you're going to come down by 1 inch. So basically what I am doing now, I am just drafting basic bodies. Okay, so I pray that this network should just help me today, I beg. So from this point, I'm going to mark 7 inches. So the 7 inches is going to be for my armhole. Okay, because it is a sleeveless dress, so I took out 1 inch from my armhole measurement. Okay, so I'm going to mark it this way, and then I will cut it. Okay, so that will be for the round part of my shoulder. And then the next thing, I'm going to mark my bust span. So the bust span, that's divide by 2. So I'm going to have 4 inches. So I'll just mark 4 inches across these 3 lines, and then I will connect it with a straight ruler this way. And then the next thing we're going to do, so this is our chest line, our bust point, under bust, our waist or our half cut. So the next one, I'm going to come to this waist part. I'm going to mark, take out just 1 inch for my dart. So that 1 inch, I'll divide that into 2. I'll take half of an inch to my right and then half inch to the left. So I'm just going to connect them that way. After connecting them that way, the next thing, we're going to take out our full body measurement. So for the full body measurement, our bust is 36. So we'll divide 36 into 4. We're going to have 9 inches. So we'll mark it, and then add our 1 inch dart, and then add 2 inches allowance. Okay, and then the under bust is 30. We'll divide 30 into 4. We're going to have, sorry, into 2. We're going to 7.5, and then add 1 inch, that's 8.5. That 1 inch is our dart, and then we'll add our 2 inches sewing allowance. Okay, so let's see, 2 inches sewing allowance. Okay, and then the next will come to the waist. Our waist is 34. So you divide 34 into, sorry, 32. So we divide 32 into 4. We have 8 inches Okay, I just wanted to be sure that I did not use cent for the bust. And then 1 inch for my dart, and then I'll mark my 2 inches sewing allowance. So all of these lines, I am going to join them together like this, okay? So I'll connect them. So the next thing I'm going to do now, for the top part, we want to cut out the top part because the top part of the back is straight. So we're going to extend that chest line and then just connect it this way. And then we're going to cut that out. So that's all for the back piece. So you can see that the back piece is a very simple piece. So you just cut this out. So I don't want to cut it. I'm going to make use of the pattern again. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to come, so let's draft out the front piece, okay? So if you are just joining us, you're welcome. Please hit on the like. I would appreciate those of you that are dropping your names already. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. When I am done, I'm going to greet you all very specially. So today, the front piece, the front part of our of what we are drafting, like the major part, okay? So now let's get started. The first thing you're going to do when you want to draft this, you are going to take a start line. So that start line is what we are going to call our shoulder line, okay? So the next thing, this is a bust here. The next line you're going to mark, you're going to mark your bust point. So the bust point, I'm making use of 10 inches, and then the under bust is 13, and then my half cut. So I'm not adding any bust dart. So I'm using the measurement I use for the back and the front, okay? So I'm going to connect all of these lines. That's, I'll rule them out. So that's our bust point, our under bust, and then our waist, okay? So bust point, under bust, waist, okay? Or half cut. So the next thing we're going to do, from this point, we're going to mark our shoulder measurement. So shoulder measurement, we're using 16. 8 divided by 2, we have 8. And then I'll add half of an inch sewing allowance. And then from that point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. And then when I come down by 1 inch, I'm going to connect that into that point. And then from there, we want to take out our armhole. So like I said, I'm using 7 inches. The armhole is 8 inches, which is 16. So because it is a sleeveless, so you reduce your armhole measurement by 1 inch so that the dress is not going to be too open, okay? So the next thing we're going to, after marking this point, you're going to take the midpoint of this, and then you're going to come in by like 1/4 inch, and then from that 1/4 inch you are going to mark this. So we want to take out our, what do you call it, we want to get our curve because this is the front. So the front one, you need to come by like half of an inch. So that is why we have this, okay, or 1/4 inch. So the next thing now, I want to, let's create out our bustier pattern. We'll use our bust pan, which is the nipple to nipple. So why 4 inches because it is 8. So that 4 inches, I'm just going to mark it across all the lines like this, okay? When I mark it across, I'm going back and then I'm taking a good look at my pan, and then I'm going to connect this line. So this is my line, I'll use it as my chest line, okay? And then the next, I'm going to connect all of these lines. From that chest line, I'm just going to run it to the half cut, okay? So after running it on the half cut, the next thing I want to mark, I want to mark my, I want to come to my under bust line. So I want to use 2 inches for my dart. So I'll take 1 inch to my right and 1 inch to my left, okay? So when I mark it this way, the next thing I am going to do now, I am going to connect this line to my point line, okay? So I'll connect it to the bust point. So that's the bust point. Then connect this one on this side also to this point, okay? And then from here, I'm going to bring this down like this, and then we'll bring this down, okay? So can you see? When we do this, after doing this, the next thing, because on this one, I think it's really sharp. So I'm just going to just blend it. Can you see? So when you blend it, you can see it's remain blended, okay? So you can see it is well curved. So the next thing we are going to do now, from this point, that chest part, we want to tighten this part a little bit. So for this, I'm going to use just half of an inch to do the tightening. So I'll just mark inch to my right and then half inch to my left, okay? So when I do that, next thing I'm just going to take this and then I'll connect it to that bust point area. That is like blend it. Can you see? And then from here also I'm going to just blend this, okay? Can you see? So after blending, the next thing I want to do at this point, we want to create out the straps. So you can see the neckline is straight. So that is why I maintained the chest area. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, you're going to come to this point and then you're going to mark 3 inches. Why 3 inches? If you take a good look at it, you see that the straps they are at the edge of the neckline. Okay. So when you mark the 3 inches from that point, the next thing you are going to do is that you are going to connect it like a Queen Anne neckline. So when you're connecting it to this point, depends on how wide you want this part to be. So you put that into consideration. So from here, from this down part, I am going to use like 2 inches or 2.5 inches. Okay, so let's do 2 inches first. I'll mark my 2 inches here at that down point, and then when I mark my 2 inches at that down point, I'm going to use this my ruler. I don't really want it really curved, so that is it. I don't really want it really curved, so I'm going to make use of this point. Okay, so when I make use of this point, the next thing I want to do now, I want to shape my strap. Do you understand? I need to shape my strap because if I use it like this, it will be too wide. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to check this part. How wide do I want this top part? Okay. So from this, I'm going to come from this point. So I'm going to mark 2.5 inches. So you can decide to use 3 inches. So that it depends on you. So from this point, I'm going to create a curve. So I decided to use my, what do you call it? I decided to use my pencil. You understand? So this part now is what is going to blend with this armhole. Can you see? So it's going to blend with the original armhole. Can you see? So I'm just using my pencil first. So I'll curve it this way and then check it. So this armhole, this front armhole and the back is going to, so you know the back is a tube, just a fresh tube back. So I'll just take a good look at it. I think I like what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I am going to use my marker pen to give this a beautiful curve. Can you see? So I'm just going to do this. It's like I'm using. So can you see? Yes, I've done that. So we're done with that. So the next thing we're going to do now, let's take out our full body measurement. So for the full body measurement, we're using the same dimensions that we use. Our bust was 36, under bust 30, our waist is 32. So these are the three measurements. So you can see we just have three lines here, excluding the chest line. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, we'll take out our full body measurement. Like I said, if you're just joining us, you're welcome. Let me know where you're watching me from. I would appreciate. When I'm done, I'm going to greet you guys specially. Those of you that tuned into my live stream tonight, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. Yes, I do. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do, let's take out our full body measurement. Can you see? See, our pattern is really beautiful already. And then we're taking out our full body measurement. Our bust is 36. You divide that into 4, we're going to have 9. So I'll mark it here, and then I'm taking out my dart. So I'll add my dart back. So I'm using 2 inches. I'll add that back and then add my stitching allowance. And then the same thing that I have here, I'm just going to extend it to my bust line, and then I'll come to my under bust, which is 30 divided by 4, that's 7.5. Bring back my 2 inches dart, and then I'll add back my 2 inches sewing allowance. Okay, I'll just mark that, and then I'll come to my waist, which is 32. 32 divided by 4, I have 8 inches, and then I'll mark 2 inches for this dart. Okay, I'll put that back, and then I'll put 2 inches back for my sewing allowance. Okay, so when I am done with this, I'm going to connect all of these lines together like this. Okay, so this is my pattern. So I'm going to cut this out now for us to see. So first of all, I'll cut it out before I cut. So you can see the arm. Can you see the armhole area? Can you see the armhole? And then I'll cut out. So this strap, there's something I forgot. You are going to extend this strap. Why? Because so that it will be able to 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 click at the back. That's when you're cutting on your fabric. When you're transferring this to your fabric, all you are going to do, you can just add like 1 inch or 1.5 inches allowance extra. So since it's going to have a button at that back, so with that, so you'll be able to, so it will be able to lap properly around the neckline. So please remember to do that. Okay, all right. So the next thing, I am going to cut this. So this now, because of this pattern of bustier, this will help. It will help because of this tightening that we did here. It will make your bustier, it's not going to gape at that chest area. You understand? It's not going to gape. So because you already have this pattern here, so it will help because of that tightening that we did. It will help to tighten that chest area. Okay, so this pattern is just like the very perfect pattern for this. So I did something like this some days back, but I think that one I use a shoulder dart. So but I think this is a better option. That's this bustier pattern is a better option. So with that, this chest, this straight part of the chest area, it will never gape. So once you're sewing, that's this part, this chest part, it will not, you are not going to have any kind of floppiness. It's going to be tight because of this, what do you call it, that tightening that we did here. So you can see, so this is for my front pattern. You can see how beautiful it is looking. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I want to show you guys how to cut the down part of our gown. So can you see, the way the skirt is, it is a very free skirt. So I'm trying to mice my paper. So let me see. I'm just trying to get my pattern paper. I want to mice my paper. I already have a skirt pattern here which I can use, but let me just undo it fresh because because of the kind of shape that it has. So that is why. So let me cut from here. So for those of you that are just joining us, this is our back pattern. So for the back pattern, the back is just normal. You're just going to cut it from here like this. Okay, so just cut the back straight from the top. Okay, all right. So the next thing now, I want to draft my skirt. So don't mind what I'm doing. No, I am just taping my what do you call it, my pattern paper together because I don't want to waste. It's not like I don't have. For now, I have pattern paper. I just bought. So I don't want to waste my pattern paper. I don't want them. I just want to economize. Okay, so that is why I am doing this. Okay, so this is what we are going to draft our skirt. If you notice, you see that it is a short skirt. Okay, so now let's go. Let's go. The next thing we are going to do for this skirt, let's measure. It is a very short skirt. So how wide you want the down part to be? So for this, we're using 18. So that 18 self is over wide. At the end of this, it's going to be like 35 or 36, which is obviously too wide. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to use this. Okay, so I'll show you because there are some people that will like, when they are doing all this kind of gown, how would they do it? Let the top and this thing, let it the dart for the front and the down, let it rhyme. Rhyme. I don't know, rhyme is from music. Let it match. So this is it. So let me show you guys how to do this today. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to mark our waistline. So before then, let's mark out our lines. Okay, so we have a waistline, and then from that waistline, the next line you are going to mark is our hip line. So we're using 8 inches for our hip line. You can use 8 inches or 9 inches, depends on how tall your client is. And then the next line is going to be the length of the skirt. So like I said, it is a short skirt, so we're using about 15 inches for our own pattern. So you can use your client's measurement for this. Okay, so we'll mark them, and then so this is our waistline, our hip line, and then hem. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do, because we want our dart to match. Okay, we want our top dart to match to our down dart. Okay, to the skirt dart. So the next thing you are going to do, I'm trying to get my pattern paper. Yes, this is very important. The most important part is this waist part. This waist part is very, very important. If you want your top dart to match with your down dart, you have to really check. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, I want to measure our waist. So our waist is 8 inches. That's 32 divided by 4, which is 8 inches. So I'm going to mark 8 inches here. And then remember our dart that I took out from here, from this part. I actually took out 2 inches for that. So for this is my skirt. I will not take out 2 inches, I'll take out 1 inch. And then the next thing, I'm going to add my stitching allowance of 2 inches. Okay, and then the next thing, I'm going to mark my hip line. So for the hip line, I'll use 36, which is 9, and then I'll add my stitching allowance. So I'll just add stitching allowance of about 3 inches. And then for the hem, I'll check what I have here like this. Okay, so if you notice that this one, the hem is wide. So what do I have here? I have about 12 inches. So for this, I'm going to make the down part about 15 inches. Okay, for the skirt, it is a straight skirt, but not, can you see the way the skirt is? It just came down like an A line. Okay, so the next thing I am going to do, I am going to mark this. I'm going to, notice, if you notice from this part, you notice I used 3 inches for the dart. So I'm going to, that's for the dart. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to gauge, just trying to gauge my pattern. Okay, let's connect these ones first, and then I'm going to measure my waist. Okay, so you see what we have. So I'm just trying to blend this. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do now, so let's match up our dart. Okay, so for my dart, I'm going to come to this part like this, and then you're going to put some, I'm going to use my bust span. So I'm using my bust span of 4 inches. So I'll take out half of an inch to the right and then half of an inch to my left. So when I do that, I am going to I'm going to measure this down to like 4 inches. That's for the length. And then I'll just connect it this way. And then I'll take that 1 inch out like this. Okay. So when I take that 1 inch out like this, I am going to cut this. Okay. I'm just cutting it out. Normally, I'm not supposed to cut it out because I am going to. So I'll cut down the down part of my skirt. So I'll cut my skirt, and then I'm going to tape this together. So these two also, when I tape this together, can you see? So I'm just trying to tape that together so you can see when we are done stitching, our darts are going to match. They're going to match up at the same line, okay? So and then we'll do all of our shapings and everything. So at the end of the day, I just sun has open. So at the end of the day, I just want to place it here on the table so that we'll see what we did today. So you can see the shape of our blouse. Looks like what we have. So guys, for those of you that tuned in, okay, so we are done. We are done with our tutorial. Can you see? You can see what we have. So let's see. I want to greet all the people that tuned in. Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. Kesioka, good evening. Thank you so much. You're watching from Kenya. Wow. Okafor Chinanza, good evening. Jennifer Bulule said hi. Thank you. Mojishola Rita, thank you so much for joining. Deborah Quiet, you're watching from Ghana. So thank you so much, all of you that tuned in this evening into our live stream. I want to say thank you guys for joining. Thank you so much. God bless you all. I will see you guys tomorrow for another live class. So thank you so much, guys. God bless you all.